morning, everyone. It is Friday, December 4th, 2015, and this is the first in a series of videos I'm going to be doing called Diamond or Ragequit. The idea of this is I'm a StarCraft 2 player, and I'm trying to make it up the ladder to Diamond. And I'm starting at Silver, so I have a long way to go. The idea of this is I'm going to do one video every week on Friday mornings, like this, in which I'm going to look at a replay in depth that I think is emblematic of sort of how the week went, because I'm playing several times a week, shows what I'm working on, what my progress is, and that way be able to sort of look back through and see how I've been doing over the months and hopefully not years. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into the game. Alright, so this is a game I played versus a Zerg player about 2 days ago on Wednesday. Right now, Protoss versus Zerg is sort of the matchup that I'm working on. I'm trying to get my ego out of this game as much as possible, and especially in my attempting to climb the ladder, right? Because you have to get your ego out of the game if you're going to try and get better. So, this, spoiler alert, is a game that I actually lose pretty badly. And I want to use this as a baseline going forward to say, alright, this is where I started. This is my Silver League disasters. And try to improve from here. So, I'm going to be focusing mostly on my sort of segment of the screen. I'm going to keep it on the everyone cam, pause it occasionally, talk specifically. So this is the build that I was using at the time. There's a new build I'm trying out that I got from a Grandmaster Protoss streamer for PvZ. So I want to point out things that I'm doing well, along with things that I think I'm not doing well. So one thing is, I think in this game, at least for the first half of it, which this is an 8-minute game, so the first 5 minutes, I think I do a pretty good job keeping probe production up. Which was initially a kind of a major struggle for me when I was in the beta. You see I'm sending out my scouting probe here, which is good, but I'm going to keep the focus on my base, actually. I get my gas geyser saturated rather quickly. Here comes the cybernetics core. I dropped a probe there for just a few seconds. I have it on X2 right now because this is kind of dull. And now I'm about to start an expansion. So, as you can see, I missed a probe there for about 10 or 20 seconds. Now going on 30 seconds. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So that's a mistake on my part. Let me back up. So I'm watching kind of this top column here, and I said, oh no, I wasn't making a probe, I wasn't making a probe. In fact, I was making a mothership core, which also comes out of the Nexus, so that's okay. I don't get to punish myself for that. I still count this as being good at making probes. However, just since I'm on the topic, the new build that I'm thinking about actually goes Nexus first. And I was practicing the build last night against a sparring partner who I play with. If you guys have been following my channel, this is Mr. Chang, who I did some videos with a few months ago during the beta. The advantage, obviously, of going Nexus first is you're able to generate workers twice as fast for a while. You're able to keep producing workers when you're making the mothership core. Overall, I think it's a little bit smoother, but it's a little bit slower, especially if you end up getting Zergling rushed. Now, speaking of the Zerg, if I click over here up to our Zerg player, just to see kind of what he's doing, what the competition is that I'm going after. So I've sent a scouting probe in. He's expanded to his third, but not his natural, which means that this player is probably less experienced, which makes my loss all the more tragic. I mean, a loss is a loss. What can you do about it? But right now, he's producing some Zerglings, and I'm going to get hit by Zerglings here, spoiler alert, in the near future, and as you see, I don't react to it very well. Also, you can see a mistake that I made right here. I mispositioned my pylon, so that way when my first Stalker popped out, he was actually trapped in here. I cannot get this Stalker out until I research Blink, which I think I don't even do this game. So, obvious mistake there. As I said, this is not a video that's going to be like, oh, look how awesome I am. In fact, this whole series is probably not going to be along the lines of, look how awesome I am. This is going to be focused pretty hard on what I'm working on, what I'm trying to improve. So hopefully next Friday, when I do another one of these videos, you'll be able to take a look at this and be like, ah, see, this is going much better. So, resuming the game, my mothership core finishes, I get another stalker out. It's important to have the stalker and the mothership core early, because it helps prevent against Zergling rushes. Single stalker won't do much against a bunch of Zerglings, but a mothership core can, both because the Zerglings can't attack the mothership core since it's a flying unit, and second, the mothership core has this delightful ability called Photon Overcharge, which you can use to sort of supercharge a pylon, turn it into a mega photon cannon, and use that to take down the Zerglings. Now, I don't react to this very well. Pausing, slowing down, and seeing what happened here. Let's go kind of to normal and sort of analyze my reaction to this. First off, first mistake, I stopped making probes, right? No matter what happens, I gotta keep making probes. Now let's continue. So, okay. Actually, in this one, these Zerglings backed off. They're joining up with their other brethren. Here comes where I have an issue. Right there. So that first one wasn't so bad, but now the Zerglings have speed because my opponent researched fast Zergling speed. You can see they have the little tiny wings on them. I think they're kind of cute, actually. But you can see that they've gotten upgraded speed. I am now making another probe. But here's where things kind of go disastrous. First off, if I had had two stalkers, this would have gone a little bit better. Second, the Zerglings, surround and kill my stalker, and go straight for my mineral line after that. Now, I had the Photon Overcharge on here. You can see it was shooting a couple of times, and that was okay. But then what I needed to do was move my mothership core down to my mineral line and empower this photon cannon. And what you're going to see is that that really doesn't happen. And the Zerglings rush into the mineral line, my stalker's attacking, and what I do is I use my probes to kill off the Zerglings, which isn't too terrible on its own, right? Zerglings do a pretty decent job. I mean, they work. Overall, if I go to the losses tab, I've lost 3 workers. That's not too terrible. The Zerg actually spent more on this attack than I did. But my recovery afterwards, you can see here, is a little bit slow, right? I'm like, oh, I'll transfer workers at this point. I'm going to move the mothership core over there for some unknown reason. There's still a random Zergling over here I haven't taken care of. And I'm not making probes. I'm doing other economic things, and I'm not making probes. This is a major mistake. Now I'm finally starting to make probes. This is where things this was the first moment where things sort of fell apart, as I reacted to this attack really poorly, in my opinion. So now, okay, I've recovered a little bit here, but I'm still, if we look at like the army tab, I'm now behind on workers pretty significantly by 12 workers, and it's not just because of the 3 I lost, right? He's now produced a whole bunch of drones. He's starting his 3rd base. I'm still trying to get my economy back up and running. Now, I'm not going to say that Zergling rush completely crippled me, right? And I don't think that was even the biggest mistake I made this game. That's coming up here in a moment. But I'm not reacting well. My money is starting to get high. I should have gone ahead and expanded, I think, a little earlier than I did, especially since the Zerg is now on 3 bases. And now here comes another Zergling attack. I think I handled this decently. I'm able to take them down. The remaining Zerglings retreat. Okay, I'm fighting Zerglings. I'm like sensing, I guess, a little bit of weakness. So I make a warp prism because I don't have a proxy over here, and I move out my army to attack. However, the Zerg player, this attack is much too little and much too late. You just look at the relative army size, right? His army supply is like double mine. He's got a ton of Ravagers, and he's got a ton of Speedlings on the way. Now, what his strategy is, here, by the way, he's sending the Ravagers to my base because they're slow. And what he wants to do, I think, I mean, I don't know this person, he wants to set his forces right here. His Ravagers right there, at the bottom of my ramp where I can't see it. And then his Speedlings are going to swoop in shortly after these Ravagers get here. You see they're almost done. I think the Ravagers will get there a little bit before. And then he's going to sweep into my base with this giant army and kill me. Now, it's not quite what happens, but he still kills me. So, I have this attack force, which, by the way, is woefully misproportioned. First off, the Mothership Core, I've learned, should be back here, so I could empower these two pylons on defense. I don't think the Mothership Core, when Heart of the Swarm first came out, Mothership Cores were used to help supplement an attack. You'd start attacking, and then the Mothership Core would use Mass Recall if you were losing, or after you've done some damage, and teleport your forces back. Here's the problem. First off, my micro is bad. Like, I'm just going to admit that. Look at my APM. Average APM of 40. Ugh. Alright? I know I need to work on bringing my APM up, but that's a skill that I haven't invested the time in yet. I'm trying to work on the other fundamentals of the game, working on, constantly producing probes, not getting supply blocked, producing units, keeping money low, things like that. And as you can see, my money is... right, I'm going and building some tech structures here, finally. Again, much too late at the 7-minute mark. And this army composition is just kind of all wrong for Zerg. The sentries are okay. I should have had several more stalkers instead of investing so much gas into the adepts. I've got like 2 immortals. This attack force is much too small. It's much too weak. And as you see, I get pretty well crushed here. Now, he had some micro problems. He pulled his forces back. He pulled them forward. I come in. I'm like, I see no resistance. I'm the man. And then I see these Zerglings coming down. And I'm like, oh, better go attack these Zerglings. So I warp in some more guys. Here they all come. Oh, no, I guess I was attacking up to the top. So this attack force right here, this is a big problem, actually. Early game, Protoss versus Zerg, this attack is... This composition of Zerglings and Ravagers, well, I mean, as you can see, it doesn't go well for my forces. He drops those corrosive bile shots, and my force basically evaporates. Now, part of this, most of this, is because when you have a 60 food army engaged with a 30 food army, it barely matters what the composition is. The 60 food army is going to win, right? And now, at this point, he has a 70 food army, and I have an 8 food army. So what's my reaction here? Let's go to the Lord Gershcam, right? My reaction here is, well, I'm going to keep macroing, which is good, because that's something I'm working on, which means, but I need to be making more units. I've only got, like, 3 warp gates. I make adepts instead of stalkers. I'm making an immortal. I'm researching zealot charge. I'm basically dead. Like, let's just be honest. This game is over. I don't even want to watch the rest of that travesty. So, let's conclude. Let's conclude. Things I did well. I think overall, up until that Zergling rush attack, I was managing my economy very well. I was making a lot of probes, hadn't gotten supply blocked, things were pretty good. Actually, speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and quit out of the replay. Well, I'll at least pause the replay and switch over to this. Now, this is the stats of the game from GG Tracker. I'm going to go through a couple of these. But I think overall, I did a pretty decent job with my economy up to around, let's see. Let's go to one of the other graphs. Up to this point, which is just past the 5-minute mark, which is, I think, here, but it doesn't matter. Just past the 5-minute mark, up to the 5-minute mark, I think everything was going pretty well. Was making a lot of probes. My mineral collection rate was good. My gas collection rate was good. It wasn't fantastic, right? But it was good. It's better than I was doing when I was playing Wings of Liberty. I feel okay about that. Things started falling apart there. I was focusing on the wrong things. Wasn't getting my economy back up and running quickly enough. I was slow on getting my 3rd and 4th gas. In fact, if I go back here, I'm not even sure I have a 3rd and 4th gas. No, I do. Okay, and they're both saturated, but I was slow on doing that. Sorry, got some of the captures wrong. Yeah, you can see I'm saturated here, but it took me a long time. This is 2 gases right here, and this is when I go to 4 gases. That's a way too long period of time. Need more gas than that. Especially if I'm making adepts, which brings me to my unit composition was bad. Adepts are great against Terrans. They're pretty good against other Protoss. And they're okay versus Zerg, I think. I could be wrong on this. Please leave me a comment if you think that I'm getting a lot of this wrong, right? They're okay versus Zerg. But I think that Stalkers and Robotics Bay units, specifically Immortals and Disruptors, are much better. And I never had a Robo Bay this game. 8-minute long game, 10-minute long game, no Robo Bay, no ability to make Disruptors. So I need to do better with tech. I need to do better with my economy past the 5-minute mark. Something I said to my sparring partner, Mr. Chang. I said, I think my first 5 minutes aren't bad. At least good enough to get me into, like, Gold League, right? It's my second 5 minutes in which the game starts falling apart. So, better multitasking, maybe a different build, better unit composition, better teching. That's kind of what I'm going to be working on for the coming week. Also focusing on PvZ for games against Protoss and Terran. I'm going to admit I'm going to be kind of screwing around, but with the build and the units, I'm trying out like Mass Void Rays versus other Protoss players. I'm trying out just like build nothing but adepts against Terrans, like stupid stuff, but it's not my goal right now. I'm going to switch back to the overlay. Goal right now is Protoss versus Zerg. That's the matchup I'm going to get better at. Now, for matches against Terrans and Protoss, I still want to have good mechanics, right? Still want to not get supply blocked, keep making probes, have a good economy, produce out of my structures, keep my money low. I will say one thing, actually, if I turn off the overlay and go back to my my GG tracker profile, is recent games, these last 5 games. Overall, my spending skill, according to GG Tracker, has been good. I've been, even though I've not been working on it, I've been decent at keeping my money low. I'm also pretty decent at getting my second base saturated, though that's mostly just a factor of transferring my minerals, of transferring my workers. It's, again, that second base, that third base, where things are kinda right? So, again, it's the second 5 minutes of the game. Let me go to the regular view. And there you have it. That's where I am. That's where I'm working on. At Silver, heading to Diamond or Ragequit. So, tune in next week to see what kind of progress I've been making. Leave any comments or suggestions for me in the comments. And hope you keep watching. Cheers.